This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
That kind of. I'm gonna ask you right quick about Jamal Bryant, man, because I'm very curious about him. Because I'm tell you why. Because I don't go to church that much, right? And when I was in B-more my last time around, I went to his church 2 times within 3 days, and I was just impressed with the man. He's very charismatic. He's one of them great orators. I mean, he got like the Keynesian thing going on. He's very charismatic. He's very active in the community. He has concerns. It's like women love him, and men respect him too. So what's the real deal with Jamal Bryant? I mean, you're a Baltimorean, you know more than I know about this guy. But I'm impressed by him from the outside looking in.
Yes, sir. Well, you know the old saying, brother, all that glitters is not gold. And Jamal Bryant basically, his father was Bishop John Bryant, who was very active and had a very socially active church at Bethel A.M.E. Church. And Jamal Bryant, of course, traveled with his father in Africa and with his sister. But basically, he was a spoiled riding child for the most part. Never really was a part of the movement. And sometimes, you can have fathers that are ministers, and some of the worst children, unfortunately, I have to say, can be children who are family or fathers or ministers, because they resent, unfortunately, sometimes because their father is not there for them, due to they may be out there on the mission and don't have a full understanding of who their father really is and what he's committed to. Well, Jamal Bryant, of course, went to Baltimore City public schools, wasn't the most intelligent child, and to my knowledge, I don't think he graduated, but he was allowed somehow to get into Morehouse, which usually means that that's the political ties, that's the fraternal ties. So, of course, if he's in Morehouse, you had to take the pledge, right? Yes, that's automatic. You had to take the pledge. If you're in Morehouse, you cross the high burning sands, as they say, to join one of the fraternities, and they moved you up. So Jamal gets moved up, and Jamal, of course, starts off and say he wants to, have a ministry, but he couldn't work under Frank Reed, or Frank Greed at Bethel, so he ventures out and starts his own ministry and calls it Empowerment Temple. But Jamal Bryant basically has never really stood politically for any social issues and civil rights issues for our people in the city of Baltimore. So it's my belief now, not just my belief, but I know that whatever you see Jamal Bryant doing, Jamal Bryant is working for the White House and the Department of Justice in terms of getting funding from the Obama administration. All you got to do is follow. Every time something happens in the city, there's 4 people that have shown up for the most part. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Jamal Bryant, and Malik Fuyu Shabazz. I just say that out. All you do is look at it. Those are the 4 people that they send out, right? Now, I debated Malik, so I can tell you some things about Malik as well. But let's be clear. So Jamal Bryant, who basically has the church, and unfortunately we see him having more of what's called a profiteering church as opposed to a prophesizing church. It's not a church that he's really challenging the powers that be in Baltimore City. He's been closely aligned with the powers that be in Baltimore City. In fact, Jamal Bryant, most of his security at his church are Baltimore City police officers. So when you see him ranting against the police department, all that's just an act, because most of his security are Baltimore City police officers. If the mayor wants to speak, say something to Jamal Bryant, she sends it via his police officers. If O'Malley wanted to say something to Jamal Bryant, he sends it through his police officers. So that is just a trick. That's like Pharaoh and his magicians, man, to fool the people, to make people think that they're really with you and they're working in opposition with the opposition against our people's total liberation and our people getting freedom, justice, and equality. And so Jamal Bryant has always been that way in terms of just trying to be an opportunist. And so while we were out fighting against police brutality, Jamal Bryant never stood up. When we was out fighting against the illegal, unconstitutional civil rights arrest of 100,000 black people under Martin O'Malley when he was the mayor, Jamal never stood up against any of that, brother. He stayed in his comfort zone, in his safe zone, because he was afraid they would snatch his permits from him. And so Jamal was meeting in a lot of the high schools. He didn't have a building. And so what happened was we had a minister that had a building up on the other side of Park Heights, and usually you can't go on the other side of Northern Parkway because that's called Israel. And you can't get on that side unless you're kissing the Jews and the Zionist ring. So Jamal had to kiss the ring so that he could move up into that building. That building he had was a church of a minister that was supposed to have been, you saw it's a motel right there before you get to that church. Did you see the motel on the right side?
Right. Yeah.
That motel is infamous called the it was called the sex motel, because what happened is a lot of the ministers would be counseling women, and they take them over into that motel and have sex with them, so that the minister that had that church before Jamal, he was supposed to be counseling one of his congregation members, and he impregnated her, and so all hell broke loose. So he ended up losing the church, and the Jews took the church from him and gave it the church to Jamal. That's how Jamal got in that building up there. But Jamal is so entrenched in the city government, you don't know where the city government begins and his church ends, man. They shut down a public school and moved the black children out and privatized the public school and made it a charter school and gave it to Jamal. So when you hear him talking about he's concerned about them building prisons and shutting down schools and laying off city employees, ask him when did he ever stand up for all the schools that they've closed before. But if you ask anybody who's been standing up, they'll tell you Brother Muhammad was out there. They'll tell you about the numerous times they tried to arrest me because we confronted the superintendent, Andre Alonso, about closing the public schools. They'll tell you about the numerous times they tried to arrest me for daring to challenge the people that they brought in, Arabs from other parts of the state, and told them that they were going to give the school to them, and they didn't even have a child in the Baltimore City public schools. They can tell you about those numerous times that we stood up for the people that was illegally arrested in the city of Baltimore, had demonstrations. But Jamal has never, ever, ever stood up. And so if you see him standing up now, it's insincere, and there's more to it than what they're telling right now. So, but that's been Jamal. There's so much more I could tell you about Jamal, because I had my personal. Yeah. What's that? I can tell you so much. There's so much more I could tell you about Jamal. How he tried to get my show pulled off the air because we was exposing the things he was doing to women in his congregation. He's nothing but a pulpit pimp. He was impregnating women, impregnating the young girls, and then sending other congregation members downtown to pretend like they were him to take the paternity test, brother. I mean, all this came out. But this is public information. If you go to his website was not a picture of Jesus or not a picture of God or heaven or anything. His website was a Bentley, man, that you had to press the button on the Bentley to go into the website. So Jamal was trying to be a shot calling the baller, man. He was not trying to be no minister. I don't even know if he still has it up there. He was talking more about his cars than talking about his congregation, brother. So this is
he got a lot of women in the church, though.
Well, but unfortunately, because our women,
yeah.
Right. But that's because women are drawn to power, but they don't even realize that's not real, sincere power from God. He got the oratorial skills. He may have the gift, but again, when you look at how he's serving the people and not serving the people, all you got to do is ask, has he called for any boycott of the city of Baltimore? If you're that concerned, if you're going to talk King ministry, and I talked to Bobby D. Gregory because now he's reached out to Bobby D. Gregory, and Bobby D. Gregory's supposed to be at a program with Jamal. But I said, I don't trust him, and I've never trusted him. I've even had a conversation with the brothers in the Nation of Islam. They've been around Jamal Bryant. I said, there's a man that told his congregation years ago not to even go to the Million Man March. And he spoke out so bad against the march, and now you're embracing him. You know what I mean? But you ain't embracing me.
Look, he hang around the Muslims. He hang around the brothers, though. He do hang around the Nation of Islam. It's so representative.
Yeah. Yeah, so but I said you're sending mixed, but it sends mixed messages to our people is what it does. It confuses our people and looks very contradictory to our people right now. And we're at a time right now in our history, we got to be real clear with our people and make it plain to our people, you know. But Jamal is a modern-day magician for the modern-day American, what's that horse called, American Pharaoh? So he's a magician for the American Pharaoh that's down there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Barack Obama, brother. And that's the truth. That's all you got to do is look at it. That's who he's working for. And I keep telling people, don't let him fool you. All right?